Where there's a game, there will probably be cheating. It happens in basketball, it definitely happens in cycling, and it happens probably most of all in video games. With cheating comes the policing of it, and sometimes the cheating police get it wrong. Sometimes they even get it wrong on purpose. So today we'll be looking at some of the best cheaters and pranksters in video games and how they were banned, but also the poor souls who got suspended, kicked off, and curfewed for no reason at all. Let's begin with the most infamous example of cheating in the history of video games. Billy Mitchell has become, in his own very arrogant way, a rock star of the arcade gaming world. He is very fond of doing interviews and even more fond of monologues. He's almost always wearing an American flag tie, and his hair looks like it was transplanted directly from the head of Cat Williams. He was also, until about a year and a half ago, the best Pac-Man and Donkey Kong player in the world, holding the record for both and being featured in a 2007 documentary called The King of Kong. But in early 2018, Twin Galaxies, the online custodians of video game records, unanimously decided to remove all of Billy Mitchell's scores, as well as ban him from participating in competitive leaderboards, because they found out he'd been cheating. The rules for submitting scores for the original arcade Donkey Kong competitive leaderboards requires the use of original arcade hardware only, reads Twin Galaxies' official statement. You can imagine that the clunky old joystick on a Donkey Kong arcade machine would be a lot harder to use than an emulator on your computer, which you can hook up to any old controller. For everyone immersed in the Donkey Kong and Pac-Man scene, this was huge news. This would be like if one of the top Fortnite players on YouTube was banned for life. FaZe Jarvis has made thousands of dollars playing Fortnite and posting his games on YouTube. He was posting videos a few times a week and getting more than 500,000 views on almost all of them for a few years. But then he made a video of himself using an aimbot and got banned from the game for life. Apparently, he was only using the bot for one video to show his viewers how unfair it was. And he didn't use it in any competitive game modes, just solo and sandbox. But Epic wasn't having it. They enforced their zero tolerance policy and kicked him off the game permanently. The Fortnite community was incensed and they made themselves heard all over the internet. They slammed Epic for taking away this poor teenager's income. One fan tweeted, "FaZe Jarvis getting banned for cheating in Fortnite is a reminder that no one in content creation or esports has any job security or any recourse, and that video game rights holders are unaccountable absolute monarchs imbued with the divine right of intellectual property." Even Ninja got involved, saying, "There's a difference between a content creator who has millions of subscribers, who then gets banned from what makes him money, and some kid who is just a piece of who has 0 followers, 0 money from gaming, and hacks. You ban that kid and nothing happens to him. Nothing happens. He can't cheat anymore, but you ban Jarvis and it's different." But despite all the outrage and sympathy, Jarvis is doing just fine. In fact, his most viewed video to date is the one where he performs remorse and begs his fans for forgiveness. Now, he regularly releases videos with titles like FaZe Jarvis plays Fortnite again, or FaZe Jarvis caught playing Fortnite. Ninja, one of the most popular content creators in the history of video games, is not the kind of person that you'd want to ban from your game. He can single-handedly make or break a game's popularity. People even credit him, at least partly, with the rise of Fortnite, the biggest video game ever. And whether or not that's really true doesn't exactly matter. If you're a developer, you want this guy to be playing your game. So it was surprising that right in the middle of a stream, he was banned from Apex Legends. Ninja was obviously confused. He explained the situation on his stream, saying, "I haven't played that game in 6 months. We queued up into the game, and as we found the match, it kicked me out twice. Got into a match, and it was like, you're banned, which is very strange to me." He eventually just played another game, but he also tweeted at Apex Legends to unban him. They replied with a coy heart saying, "Check your DMs." So, all is well. Ninja's ban from Apex Legends could be explained by another streaming-related incident, where a streamer broadcasted himself cheating. The developers found him out through a forum and banned him. but he came back with a new account and a new username. And in the end, this happened 5 times, with the devs actively watching his stream and cross-referencing the other users in his game to hunt him down. He got tired of changing accounts and eventually conceded defeat, saying, "Alright, I guess I gotta find a new game to cheat on until I get a working spoofer again." There are countless other examples of streamers getting caught red-handed, but the most egregious of all of them was Miss Q Gemini. While streaming herself play CS:GO, her viewers noticed that on her screen, she could see enemy players outlined in red through solid walls. Textbook cheating. When the chat lit up with questions about the red shapes, she simply blamed it on a mysterious friend who she referred to as Clara. Clara or no Clara, she got banned and had to make a new Steam profile. In the past, some scammers have taken it much further than aimbots in Fortnite. In the early days of Twitch, there was a streamer named Zilean OP. He was famous because unlike most of the able-bodied but still chair-bound streamers, he was in a wheelchair. His unspecified disability that kept him chair-bound got lots of sympathy from his viewers, who poured in donations to his account and views to his streams. But one day, apparently forgetting that his webcam was on, Zilean just stood up and walked out of his wheelchair. Twitch acted fast and promptly banned him and his girlfriend for what some people began to call a miracle. Not much has been heard from them since, but they did end up refunding the donations they received. Not everyone is rightfully banned, though. A Battlefield 1 player, username KL Spasmo, was banned for scoring too high too often. Him and a friend were notified out of nowhere that their accounts would be suspended for 1 week. This was the result of a software called Fair Fight, which a lot of multiplayer games use to detect cheaters by singling out players who are just doing too well. But sometimes people are just doing well. Some other bans have had less to do with cheating and more to do with the Chinese government. It all started with a Hearthstone tournament, after which Blitzchung, the winner, was being interviewed. He removes what looks like a gas mask and yells, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our age." Now, Blizzard didn't waste any time. They banned him for 1 year and rescinded the $10,000 he won in prize money. Outraged by the developer's overreach, gamers all over the world started boycotting Blizzard, unsubscribing from their games and denouncing them on social media, and the devs took note, reducing the ban to 6 months and returning Blitzchung's prize money. Alan Brack, Blizzard's CEO, released a statement saying, quote, "The specific views expressed by Blitzchung were not a factor in the decision we made. I want to be clear, our relationship in China had no influence on our decision." Blizzard claims in the English-speaking world that they want to keep their esports competitions apolitical, but their tone in China has been different. In a post on Weibo, what used to be the biggest Chinese social network, Blizzard wrote, "We are very angered and disappointed at what happened at the event and do not condone it in any way. We also highly object the spreading of personal political beliefs in this manner. Effective immediately, we've banned the contestant from events and terminated work with the broadcaster. We will always respect and defend the pride of our country." Many have speculated that Blizzard's eagerness to please the Chinese government isn't just about the huge Chinese market for their games. Tencent is the biggest video game company in the world. They own League of Legends, shares in both Fortnite and PUBG, as well as a 5% stake in Blizzard. As a Chinese company, Tencent is beholden to Xi Jinping and his government, so you can imagine they might be putting some pressure on the people over at Blizzard. But Blizzard was subject to stateside pressure too. Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon tweeted that Blizzard shows it is willing to humiliate itself to please the Chinese Communist Party. Blizzard employees even staged a walkout. In hindsight, Brack said, "Our process wasn't adequate and we reacted too quickly." But not only is the government of China banning Blitzchung, they're also restricting every gamer under the age of 18. All over the world, people are captivated by their screens, and in China, the government has decided to do something about it. For every person under the age of 18, online gaming has been restricted to the hours between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. Not only are Chinese kids not allowed to play at night, during the day they'll be limited to 90 minutes of playtime. But on weekends and holidays they can play for 3 whole hours. The government says they will enforce this by requiring each and every kid to register with their full name. Of course, it will take every kid in China about 15 minutes to get around these restrictions by simply finding out a way to log in under their parents' names. But the government says they will also gradually improve and enrich the functions of an identification system to share gaming time data across platforms, so we can know and restrict the total time every minor spends on gaming across platforms. They're also going to restrict how much money they can spend. 8 to 16-year-olds can spend $29 a month on games, while 16 to 18-year-olds are allowed up to $57. This is all an effort to curb the internet addiction that China declared a clinical disorder way back in 2008. In the decades since then, they've even tried prison-like rehab centers where parents can check in their hooked kids. But apparently those weren't enough. Have you ever been banned from a game? What for? How do you feel about cheating? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to TheGamer.